Hi guys and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be reacting to Myra Hindly, Britain's most hated woman. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you want me to watch and react to. Alright, this is a 45-minute video and I'm just going to react to like 10 minutes of it, so yeah, let's go.
Quite intelligent young girl,
Very devious.
plodding through life in the 60s.
She was all for herself.
She's one evil so-and-so.
Ooh.
Innocent, vulnerable, in need of love and care and attention.
She's an evil cow.
Oh shit,
She's got the devil in it. She's the devil itself.
this don't sound good.
Wasn't we lucky? Little ones that got away.
I'm not looking forward to this. I'm definitely not looking forward to this. Her photos just look scary enough as it is. Mate, who the f is born to kill? Like, what?
The crimes committed by Moore's murderer Myra Hindley.
Her photos are
shocked
creeping
the
me out,
nation.
man. I'm done already.
Hindley has been demonised as the most evil woman in Britain. With her lover Ian Brady, Hindley took part in the abduction, sexual abuse, torture and murder of 5 innocent children.
Oh, shit.
She was sentenced to life imprisonment. Hindley's supporters claim that she would not have been capable of murder without the influence of
Who will support a person like this?
Brady. With the help of criminal psychologist and forensic profiler David Holmes, we aim to delve into the mind of this infamous killer. Was Hindley indoctrinated into Ian Brady's murderous world, or was she quite simply born to kill?
When it comes to the born to kill argument, Myra Hindley is very interesting because she is actually reputed to have had a very normal childhood and then have met this very macabre stranger who then transformed her life into one of evil. Now, that is a very simple story which requires further examination.
Myra Hindley died in prison on November the 15th, 2002, after serving 33 years. She was 60 years old. Myra and Ian might have carried on torturing, sexually assaulting and killing children if it had not been for one man, David Smith.
Yes, David.
His confession at Hyde Police Station on October the 7th, 1965. David had witnessed Ian brutally murdering their 5th victim, Edward Evans.
The final murder they committed was that of Edward Evans. He was a teenager, and Brady and Hindley had met him on Central Station and persuaded him to come back to the house with them.
Myra said that Ian picked him up for gay sex. They brought Edward Evans back. And the next and most interesting thing about this death, and the thing that actually stops the whole cycle of killing, is that Ian told Myra to go and fetch David Smith.
David Smith had the reputation of being a neighbourhood hard man. He'd started dating Myra's sister, Maureen. They got married and moved to the nearby Hattersby estate, close to Ian and Myra.
What?
The 4 of them spent a lot of time together. David was impressed by Ian's right-wing views. Slowly he became indoctrinated into Ian's perverse view of life.
Myra went and brought David Smith and brought him back to the house, whereupon Edward Evans was murdered in a very, very brutal fashion. He was much bigger, it was much harder to kill him, there was blood everywhere. It was a very, very nasty death.
Brady had been grooming Myra's brother-in-law for several months and was confident he could trust the 17-year-old to not only keep a secret, but also to become actively involved in their murderous plans. But Brady miscalculated David.
Eventually, Edward Evans was killed and his body was parcelled up and wrapped up, and they took him upstairs with great difficulty and locked him in a bedroom.
Oh, shit.
How much David Smith was involved in the actual killing, he says not. But he said he had to do certain things because Ian was controlling it and forcing him to.
He said he had to do what he had to do, clean up and help Myra and Ian that night. And he had to help them to do everything to save his own neck. And he went back home and told Maureen what happened.
With a large carving knife to protect them, they went down to the phone box and they phoned the police, and they stood in that phone box until the police arrived, and the pair of them were really, really terrified and horror-struck.
David Smith gave an account of what had happened on that evening. Myra wasn't present during the physical murder. She was
I'm losing track of all the names, to be fair. Like, I don't know who's who anymore.
actually in the kitchen, but she was certainly involved in the cleaning up of the house afterwards, because, as you can imagine, there was an awful lot of blood, and I think it's fair to say that David Smith had certain views about her thoughts at the time. They were flippant remarks about blood and tissue around the room.
The crime scene of the murder of Edward Evans was a grossly blood-splattered affair, in the midst of which Myra Hindly was projecting herself as a laughing, gay, busy housewife, tidying up a normal domestic scene. She normalised what was grossly abnormal. For this particular scene, it helped her to distance herself from the reality, the horror of what she was engaging with.
David and Maureen's story was taken seriously by the police. 24 officers were called to Ian and Myra's house.
David Smith had warned them that there were guns on the premises. They decided that they would do this in a sort of undercover way. So when the knocker went and Myra Hindley answered the door, it was not a policeman on her doorstep, it was a breadman with a basket of bread loaves. Myra said, "We don't have bread." And then he said, "But I'm a policeman," and they went inside. The police insisted on searching the house, which they resisted, but eventually they, of course, had to accede, and the body of Edward Evans was found.
Little did they realise, but the police were about to stumble across one of Britain's most notorious criminal cases, the Moors murders.
Straight away, Ian Brady was arrested, but Myra Hindley was, having been questioned, she was allowed to go home. They didn't believe she was involved. However, because of David Smith's insistence that there were probably more murders involved, the police continued to investigate.
Wait, how can you not tell that woman is evil? Like, her photos, you could just tell she's a serial killer.
And they searched the house very thoroughly. They actually found a list of, which Ian said was the planning for a robbery, and it had enigmatic initials on it, and one of them was PB. And eventually, down the spine of a prayer book, they found a ticket for a left luggage office at a station in Manchester.
Jeez.
And they found out which one it was and claimed a suitcase back.
Majority of serial killers take some form of trophy of their crimes
Oh, I don't want to know what's in that suitcase.
away from them. It can be rings, or it can be jewellery, or it can be hair.
I'm not
And
looking
it
forward
was
to
in
this.
suitcase
Don't.
that they found all the photographs
Oh.
and the tapes of Leslie Ann Downey's last few minutes on Earth.
Brady and
Shit.
Hindley were not unusual. They take recordings of the torture and the murder and the pleadings of Leslie Ann Downey.
10-year-old Leslie Ann Downey had mysteriously gone missing from the area 6 months earlier. David Smith told the police that Ian had joked about burying children on the moors.
Eventually, with the use of the photographs that had been taken of Myra with her dog and Ian up on the moors, they managed to actually find a place where they thought that they might fruitfully start digging for bodies. Myra was arrested and charged a few days after Ian. Her dog, Puppet, was also taken into custody because the police knew that if they could establish the age of the dog, they would be able to establish when some of these photographs were actually taken. A vet put the dog under a general anaesthetic and was trying to establish the age from its teeth. And tragically, Puppet died, and Myra Hindley was heard to scream around the police station, "Murderers!"
What a hypocrite.
As a result of the tip-off that they were digging on the moors, I was a very young reporter, and my job was to drive around at night in the hope that I might see police digging. Saddleworth Moor is quite an eerie place at the best of times, but to be up there in the early hours, in the dark, knowing that there could be, at that stage, could be children buried out there was quite weird. Quite frightening, really, looking back.
There was a whole cavalcade of press parked down the hill and not allowed to get near. And they tried to do as much of it as they could under cover of sort of dawn and dusk, but it was very difficult because you have to have light on the moors. The moors are vast and spooky places.
Police believe that the bodies of 4 missing
Imagine like walking across there and you see 2 bloody serial killers digging up bodies and shit.
children might have been buried on the moors. Their fears were well founded. On the 10th of October 1965, the body of Leslie Ann Downey was discovered.
Oh shit.
11 days later, the body of 12-year-old John Kilbride was also uncovered. John
Ooh,
had disappeared
yo,
without a
that
trace.
photo is creepy as fuck. Jeez, it looks like it and the Joker, like all in one.
On November the 11th, 1963.
No offense to him.
In 1965, a case like this was unique. For the first time in British history, a woman had been implicated in a killing partnership that involved the serial sex murders of children.
Oh shit, I can still see her face. Oh. I'm gonna end it there because I'm creeped out and then I'm not gonna watch the whole 45 minutes. But when I ask you guys to like suggest stuff for me to react to, I don't mean like shit like this. I want something like funny or interesting, not something that will creep me out. Well, thanks for watching anyway, guys. So yeah, that's Myra Hindley, and I suggest you not to watch this.